Chapter 2306. Looking at the smile on the young man's lips, the demonic cultivator Venerable Immortal was slightly surprised. This young man in red looked a little androgynous. Although he was a man, there was a hint of evil charm in his eyes, which was really strange. However, just as he was distracted, the young man appeared in front of him in an instant, and the red silk in his hand attacked. He hurriedly dodged, but was still cut deeply by the red silk, which contained a sharp airflow. Hiss! He sucked in a breath and quickly blocked it, but he found that the young man's attack style had changed. It became sharper than before, and more difficult to deal with. Ah! With a swish, the red silk sliced open a wound on his shoulder like a sharp blade. Blood gushed out, causing his figure to sway in the air. However, before he could stabilize himself, the young man closed in on him. Every move he made was a sure kill move. Furthermore, the young man's pressure and aura suppressed him. In just a few breaths of time, his body was riddled with wounds, and his aura became unstable as well. The red silk in his hand attacked, wrapped around the demonic cultivator's leg, and pulled. As he fell back, a flame condensed in his other hand, and with a whoosh, he suddenly rushed toward the demonic cultivator. Ah! A cry of surprise was heard, and the flame quickly rushed up his body. He struggled to break free from her red silk and tried to extinguish the flame, but Fingzhou did not give him a chance to breathe. He attacked again, and the dagger in his hand reflected a cold light under the sunlight. In the next moment, the sharp dagger stabbed toward the demonic cultivator. The flame burning on his body made his mind chaotic, so when Fingzhou leaned closer and stabbed him with the dagger, he did not react in time to dodge. He only saw the dagger in Fingzhou's hand pierce into his dantian from behind. At the same time, a flame rushed into the wound, and the wound was instantly burned. Hiss! Ah! An indescribable gasp and scream was heard. His body was still struggling in the air, and he wanted to pounce on Fingzhou. However, his body was wrapped in flames, and his dantian was destroyed, so he could not get close to Fingzhou. Fingzhou glanced at the demonic cultivator, and with a turn of the red silk in her hand, she wrapped it around his neck and threw him down to one of the divine beasts. Your reward! She shouted, and the devil cultivator's body was pulled down by her. When the divine beast that was fighting below saw this, it immediately roared and pounced forward. It opened its mouth, revealing its sharp teeth, and bit down on the devil cultivator who was trying to escape. With a crunch, it swallowed the devil cultivator's inner core. Ah! In an instant, shrill screams rang out in the air. The screams went from high to low, until they gradually disappeared into the cacophony of voices. When the demonic cultivators who were fighting the ferocious beasts below and were covered in wounds saw this scene, they were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. They all exclaimed, "Master! Their master! How could an immortal venerable be killed just like that? How was this possible?" Chapter 2307. In the next moment, those who still had the strength to run for their lives fled out of the city gate, while those who were too weak were torn to death by the ferocious beasts. Looking down from a high place in the huge black mountain city, it was like a bloody battlefield. Fengzhou, who was on the high ground, saw that the cultivators below were all dead and the ferocious beasts were still in a frenzy. Therefore, she took out the medicine that she had prepared and sprinkled it down. At the same time, Gu Xiang also quickly regained his senses and took out the medicine and sprinkled it down from the air. The people who were watching from above were already dumbfounded. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not dare to believe that the young man could kill the city lord of Black Mountain City, a devil cultivator whose strength had reached the level of immortal venerable. Moreover, this young man actually had the profound spiritual body. The profound spiritual body was a cultivation genius. No matter where he was, he would be one of the top figures. But why would such a person come to this place? They were shocked and did not dare to stay in this area for long. They all turned and left on their swords. It was too dangerous. Who knew if they would be killed if they continued to watch? Fingzhou, who was in mid-air, saw the cultivator leave from afar, and his eyes flickered. It seemed that she was quickly tidying up the Black Mountain City and rearranging the array and boundary here to prevent others from attacking the city. After 2 days and 1 night, the ferocious beasts below were all exhausted and lying down, as if all their strength had been sucked out. They did not even have the strength to stand up. Fengzhou glanced at Gu Xiang and said, "You first look at these ferocious beasts and count how many are still alive. I will go and rearrange the array of Black Mountain City." "Yes." Gu Xiang answered and went down to count the ferocious beasts that survived. In the evening, the Black Mountain City was rearranged by Fengzhou. The boundary and the formation complemented each other and protected the Black Mountain City. The 2 ferocious beasts that had reached the level of mythological beast were chained by Gu Xiang and tied to the left and right sides of the city gate. They were the ferocious beasts guarding the city gate. They chased the other ferocious beasts out and cleaned up the dead ferocious beasts. They piled up the corpses of the demonic cultivators in the city and burned them. After cleaning up everything, it was already the morning of the next day. When it was close to noon, the old patriarch led the rest of the people and finally arrived at the front of the Black Mountain City. Some of the people who were hiding in the dark wanted to deal with them, but when they saw that there were children and women among them, there were also celestial saints protecting them, so no one made a move. "Patriarch, you're here." Gu Xiang happily came out to welcome them. Seeing that they had all arrived, he grinned and said, "This morning, Master was still talking to me about you all. I didn't expect you all to arrive so soon. We thought that you would at least arrive in the evening. It's been quiet all along the way, and we haven't encountered any dangers or obstructions, which is why we've arrived early," the old clan leader said. Seeing that Black Mountain City didn't even have a city gate, he asked, "Is Master all right?" At that time, Gu Xiang had rushed back and told them a few things, then told them to come back later. They were also hesitant. They didn't expect that on the way here, they would find out that Black Mountain City had really changed hands. "Master is fine. Let's go inside and talk." "Let's go." Chapter 2308. Everyone laughed and said, "It's okay, we'll go to the forest and cut down some trees to make a new gate." "Grandpa Patriarch, are we going to live here in the future?" "Grandpa Patriarch, this place is so big, much bigger than where we used to live." "Grandpa Patriarch, this place is so nice, can we all live here in the future?" When the children saw their new home, they were so happy that they pulled on the sleeves of the old patriarch and asked. At the same time, they didn't forget to look around curiously. However, when they followed them into the city gate, they were frightened by 2 ferocious beasts at the level of mythological beasts. "Ah!" The children cried out in alarm and hid behind the old patriarch. The others were also shocked. However, when they saw that the 2 ferocious beasts were tied up with black iron chains, they felt relieved. They looked at Gu Xiang with some astonishment and asked, "Why are there 2 divine-level ferocious beasts locked up here? How did you catch these 2 divine beasts?" "Ha ha ha, don't be afraid, they won't bite you, they're still some distance away, and they won't dare to bite you." Gu Xiang laughed and said to them, "You don't know, Master is really good at taming beasts. The other beasts are too low level, so Master doesn't like them. Only these 2 beasts are divine beasts, so Master left them here to guard the city lord. Let me tell you, these 2 divine beasts have been tamed by Master, without Master's order, they won't dare to hurt you." Gu Xiang swaggered in with them, and said to the 2 mythological beasts, "These are our people. Look carefully, don't get hurt." Everyone was shocked when they saw this. Divine beasts were hard to tame, not to mention divine beasts. But when they saw the 2 divine beasts stare at them and then go back to lie down, they couldn't help but be speechless. It's really incredible that when the patriarch saw this, he revealed a gratified smile. "I knew it. It was not a mistake to acknowledge Master. With Master around, even if we are no longer around in the future, our clansmen will definitely live well. The group of people went inside. After entering, they saw that the area was extremely wide. There were already built houses in the city. However, other than them, they did not see anyone else. They entered the largest courtyard and came to the hall inside. They saw a young man in red sitting on the main seat. However, at this moment, his appearance seemed to be a little different from what they had seen before. He is. The old patriarch looked at Fingzhou in shock. His question was directed at Gu Xiang. Oh. Clan head, I forgot to tell you that Master was originally in disguise. This is his original appearance. Gu Xiang patted his head, only then did he remember that he had not told them about Master's appearance. I see. The patriarch nodded and carefully looked at the red-clothed man in the main seat. But when he looked, he couldn't help but be startled. Profound spiritual body. He remembered that their master was only a mystic. How did he become a profound spiritual body? Seeing this, Fingzhou smiled and said, "That's right, I was originally a profound spiritual body, but my spiritual power and cultivation were sealed. It's only now that I broke through the seal and recovered my cultivation." Hearing this familiar voice, the patriarch quickly returned to his senses and led everyone to bow respectfully to Fingzhou. "Greetings, Master." Chapter 2309. Everyone sat down in the hall, and the younger ones stared curiously at Fingzhou in the main seat. They only felt that his face was really very good-looking, and even the most outstanding among them could not compare to him. "Have you been well on your way here?" Fingzhou asked, his gaze sweeping over everyone. "Mistress, we've been well. The journey was quite peaceful, and nothing happened." "That's good." She nodded and said, "Since you've arrived here, you can all stay here in the future. You don't have to live in an underground cave, and it'll be better for your health." Hearing this, everyone laughed. "It's all thanks to Mistress. Otherwise, we wouldn't dare to imagine that we'd be able to openly live in Black Mountain City." In the past, it was already a problem for them to survive, and they had to hide from place to protect their clansmen. Now, they could have a place like this to live in, and they were naturally filled with joy. "Mistress, there are only a few of us left in Black Mountain City. I'm afraid that the other factions will definitely know and come to snatch Black Mountain City." The old clan leader voiced his concern. Fingzhou in the main seat smiled and said, "From tomorrow onwards, Black Mountain City will be changed to Phoenix City. The signboard has already been written and handed over to Gu Xiang. Later, you can just hang the signboard on the city gate. In addition, post a recruitment notice outside the city gate. Devil cultivators and heretic cultivators will not be accepted. As for the other cultivators, you'll have to pick and choose." She paused and said, "This city is now protected by a barrier and array, so we're not afraid of them barging in. However, later on, you'll have to arrange for 2 people to stay on top of the city gate and watch out for any movements." "Yes, I'll arrange it in a moment," the old clan leader said respectfully. "There's nothing else to do here. I'm going to go into seclusion to cultivate, so I'll leave this place to you. If there's anything big, come find me. If you can deal with it, then deal with it yourselves. As for other matters, if there's anything you don't know, ask Gu Xiang." She stood up, flicked her robes, and said to them, "The rooms outside are all empty. You can go and take a good rest after choosing." With that, she turned and left. Everyone agreed. After he left, they asked Gu Xiang about other details. In the end, the patriarch and the elders arranged for the clan members to settle down. 2 of them went to guard the city gate. A small team patrolled the city, while the other team prepared to go out of the city to chop some trees and tie them up to form the city gate. A few women also formed a team and began to deal with the piles of ferocious beasts. Although 39 people was not a lot, everyone worked together to divide the work, and this empty Phoenix City gradually began to take shape. On the other side, Fingzhou entered a courtyard in the back. After entering the room, she closed the door and flashed into the space to cultivate. The seal on her spiritual energy had been undone, and her profound energy aura was faintly on the verge of a breakthrough. Moreover, she felt that during these days when her spiritual energy was sealed, she also had a faint feeling of wanting to break through. Now that the matters in the city had been settled, the best thing to do now was to go into seclusion and cultivate. If she could break through in one go, it would definitely be a good thing for her. At the very least, it would be much easier for her to deal with the leaders of the remaining 7 forces in the future. Chapter 23:10. Sitting cross-legged, she first mobilized the profound energy aura within her body and guided it into her dantian. Then, she guided the profound energy aura within her body to circulate through the meridians in her body, gradually expanding each and every one of her meridians. Outside, the clan leader and the elder stood outside the city. Looking at the 2 people in Fengqing, they secretly nodded their heads. Master's handwriting is indeed not bad. The tip of the brush has hidden sharpness, and the strokes are powerful. Written in one go, it doesn't seem like the handwriting of a 20-year-old youth. Hearing this, the elder stroked his beard and smiled. Master is not an ordinary person. Naturally, we can't measure him by ordinary people. The clan leader nodded. That's true. He glanced at the recruitment notice and said, "Let's go in." As they entered, some rogue cultivators not far away looked at each other and walked toward the city gate in unison. They were curious about what they were doing outside for half a day. When they got closer, they saw that the words Fengqing had been changed to Fengqing. On the wall beside the city gate, there was a recruitment notice. Seeing the contents, the surrounding loose cultivators all had different expressions. Those devil cultivators and evil cultivators' faces immediately turned gloomy, and killing intent surged in their eyes. Some cultivators, on the other hand, were overjoyed, and their eyes flashed. It's a recruitment notice. Looks like what he said that day was true. He really wants to form a strong team with some people. A cultivator said excitedly. Someone beside him glanced at that person and said, "That person looks unfathomable. I wonder what he's planning. Who would dare to join his team? Become his underling? No matter what, this is good news overall. Especially since he's very strong." That's enough. That cultivator's eyes flickered as he said, "To be able to destroy the original master of Black Mountain City and occupy it as the master, it shows how strong he is. What's more, we saw this scene that day. That person, he has a profound spiritual body. So what if he has a profound spiritual body? It's impossible to advance in a place like this. Our strength hasn't changed for many years." A cultivator muttered. Everyone was silent and no longer spoke. Indeed, in this place where they couldn't advance, in this abandoned place, they could only wait for death. They couldn't advance any further, and when their lifespans came to an end, they would end up dead. I don't know about other things, but if we join them, there will definitely be enough food. A cultivator licked his lips as he spoke. His eyes shone brightly as he looked up at the city gate. His voice, which contained the aura of spiritual force, was filled with urgency. "I want to join Phoenix City and become a member of Phoenix City. Let me in." When the 2 men on the city gate tower heard the words coming from below, they looked at each other. One of them shouted to the people below, "Those who want to join, please wait below the city gate. Master has a rule. When the number of people reaches a certain number, he will personally select those who can join. Before that, none of you can enter." Hearing this, the cultivators below the city gate were surprised. They didn't expect this. Therefore, some people left resentfully, while others waited below. They directly found a place to sit cross-legged and did not leave. Chapter 23:11. Half a month later, Fingzhou opened her eyes and exhaled softly. In this half a month, her profound chi had finally advanced from the black tortoise god realm to the white profound realm. Even her peak immortal sage realm had finally advanced to the intermediate immortal venerable realm. The green lotus chi in her body was also faintly surging at this time, spreading all over her body. She restrained this chi and suppressed it to the level of an immortal sage before flashing out of the space. She pushed open the door and came to the courtyard. Seeing that there was no one outside, she walked out again. Master. Master has come out of seclusion. Several women saw Fingzhou coming out and bowed respectfully, looking at her with a smile. N. She responded and asked, "How is the city these days?" "Master, don't worry. Everything is fine. But there are a lot of cultivators gathered at the city gate. They have been waiting there since the recruitment notice was posted. Now that Master has come out of seclusion, you can go and have a look," one of the women said with a smile. Hearing this, Fingzhou said, "Prepare water for me to take a bath and lock it in my room. In addition, prepare some food for me." "Yes, Master, please have a seat. We will prepare it immediately." Several people said, bowed and retreated. There was a well in the city, so things like taking a bath were easier. Now that they had lived here for half a month, they were very familiar with everything here. When they heard that Master wanted to take a bath, some of them went to prepare hot water and some of them went to prepare food. During this time, the people in front of her couldn't help but smile when they heard that Fingzhou had finally come out of seclusion. Great, Master has finally come out of seclusion. There should be more and more people here. That's right. This way, our combat strength will be stronger. Originally, I was worried that the other forces would deal with us. I didn't expect that after half a month, they are still quiet. It seems that they are also a little afraid. That's true. Who wouldn't be afraid of Master's powerful and abnormal strength? There are more than 100 people gathered at the city gate after half a month. I wonder how many of them will be chosen by Master. I estimate that if not 100, there should be at least 80. I think these rogue cultivators are quite strong. Amidst their discussion, Fengjiu, who'd taken a bath and eaten some food, walked towards the city gate. She was peerlessly beautiful in red clothes, and her bearing was noble. Moreover, every single move she made carried an extraordinary imposing aura. It was to the extent that even though her appearance was drop-dead gorgeous, no one had thought of her as a woman. No one would believe that such a person was a man. After all, the scene of him killing that immortal venerable seemed to be still vivid in his mind. No one would believe that the fierce imposing manner and terrifying aura belonged to a woman. Master is master is master. The divine beast level immortal realm divine realm 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 immortal realm 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 immortal realm 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 immortal realm 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 immortal 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 ing immortal realm immortal realm ed emu ing. At this moment, he was gently patting the head of the ferocious beast, as if he was saying something. Chapter 23:12. Fingzhou replied and stroked the fur of the ferocious beast beside her. The ferocious beast was at the level of a divine beast, but it did not dare to reveal its ferocious nature under the pressure of her ancient divine beast aura. Instead, it obediently lay on the ground, as docile as a pet. "Bring me a chair, then let the people outside come in groups of 10. She said to the people beside her. "Yes." The crowd responded. Some people went to bring chairs, some stood guard at the sides, and some walked out of the city gates. When the people waiting outside saw that someone had come in, they immediately crowded around. "Can we go in now? Is it time to start the selection?" The crowd asked in a flurry of questions, their gazes all landing on Gu Xiang in front of them. Gu Xiang walked past the crowd and saw a man who had also stood up. That man was the person that Master had wanted to take in that day. He had probably decided to join them after hearing the recent news. 10 of you will come in with me first. The rest will wait. Gu Xiang said to the 10 people in front of him and led them inside. The 10 people who had gone in first could not help but feel uneasy. They did not know the other party's selection requirements, nor did they know how many of them would be left behind. "Master, I've brought the person." Gu Xiang bowed respectfully and retreated to the side, allowing the 10 people behind him to step forward. When the 10 people saw the red figure sitting on the chair and his beautiful face, they could not help but be stunned. Someone blurted out, Aren't you that woman?" "Impudent." The old clan leader at the side shouted in a low voice, his sharp gaze landing on the cultivator. The pressure of a celestial sage enveloped him, causing the cultivator's face to instantly turn pale. He only felt a wave of pressure pressing down on his head, causing his legs to give way, and he fell to his knees with a thud. Fengjiu smiled and supported his chin with one hand, saying, "Raise your head and look at me. Tell me, why do you want to join the Phoenix City? To become my subordinate?" When the old clan leader heard his master's question, he immediately retracted his pressure, allowing the man to catch his breath. "Because you're very strong, and I know that there aren't many people in the Phoenix City, so I want to join." He raised his head and looked at the person sitting on the chair, speaking truthfully. However, looking at that face and seeing that he was clearly wearing men's clothing, at this moment, he did not know whether this person was a man or a woman. "The rest of you, tell me. When you speak, look at me." She looked at the remaining 9 people with a lazy expression. When the 9 people saw this, they did not know what she wanted to hear, so their answers varied. Gu Xiang was responsible for bringing people from the outside, one group after another. Among the last group of people was the man that Fengjiu had taken a liking to. Therefore, she looked at him with great interest and asked, "Why do you want to join the Phoenix City?" "To become my subordinate." The man looked at Fengjiu and answered honestly, "Because your place is the only place that only recruits cultivators, women, and children." Fengjiu nodded and finally stood up. 165 people were divided into 2 groups. The left had 75 people and the right had 90 people. "The people on the left stay, the people on the right take them out." Fengjiu gestured for them to take the people out. Chapter 23:13. It's very simple. You're all not to my liking, so you're naturally eliminated. Fengjiu said unhurriedly. Hearing this, the cultivators were furious. "That's it? You're eliminating us just like that? That's not fair. Some of us are much stronger than them. Why are you only taking them in and not us?" They had waited outside the city for more than half a month, and this was the result. They refused to accept this. Hearing this, Fengjiu glanced at them. "So you're saying that you don't want to leave?" Her voice was faint and cold, but it inexplicably made everyone's hearts turn cold, faintly making them feel uneasy. "If you don't want to leave, that's fine too. You can stay behind and let them practice. I also want to see how their battle powers are like," she said unhurriedly, looking at the change in their expressions. "Humph. If this place doesn't want to keep us, then there will be a place for us to stay. Do you think we care so much about this place?" One of them snorted coldly, flinging his sleeves and immediately walking out. "That's right. Let's go too." One after another, people followed and gradually left. However, their expressions were filled with anger and unwillingness. Gu Xiang followed behind them. After they had all left the city gates, he closed the barrier that had been opened. Only then did he return inside and quietly wait by the side, watching the people who had been chosen by his master to stay behind. Actually, it was not only him. The other members of the Gu family were also very puzzled. Just as the cultivator from before had said, some people's answers were the same. Moreover, those who had left were much stronger than the people inside, but they were not kept behind. Even they could not understand why their master would choose these people to stay behind, but let so many people leave. If it were them, they would naturally let those people stay behind as well. That way, the extra battle powers would be able to compete with the other forces. Looking at the 75 people, she walked forward and stood in front of them. Her voice was filled with spiritual energy and a trace of coercion as it came out from her mouth. My requirements for you are very simple. First, you must be loyal. From the moment you entered the Phoenix City, you became my, Fengzhou's, people. You must always remember your status and do not betray me. Otherwise, I will make you wish you were dead. Her voice paused, and her gaze swept across the crowd. She slowly said, Second, unite as one, and don't have internal strife. Third, I won't pursue what you did to survive in the past, but from this moment on, those who kill innocent people without my orders will be severely punished. As my subordinates, you have to follow my rules and do things according to my rules. I can tell you with certainty that as long as you are loyal to me, I, Fengzhou, will not mistreat you. Hearing this, everyone was silent for a while, then respectfully knelt on one knee. Your subordinates kowtow in salute to master. From this moment on, we will be loyal to our master for the rest of our lives, and we will never betray him. If I go back on my words today, I'll be at your disposal. In here, due to the formation and the barrier, they were unable to make an oath to the heavens and earth. Therefore, everyone could only express their loyalty in this way. If they went back on their words today, they would be at her disposal, which meant that they were handing their lives over to her. Rise. Chapter 23:14. These exiled people in this floating land, even if they only had the cultivation of the nascent soul stage, their combat prowess was incomparable to those of the same level outside. She was thinking, in the future, when she broke the barrier and formation here, if she brought out such a large group of cultivators whose strength was at the peak of the nascent soul stage, what kind of commotion would it cause? Moreover, among these people in front of her, there were only a few who were at the peak of the nascent soul stage. Most of them were at the fairy realm and celestial sage stage. These people, no matter where they were placed, would definitely be the top figures. But now, they were all under her command. Speaking of which, entering this place could be considered a blessing in disguise. She had obtained such a powerful team for no reason. Moreover, this team did not stop here. She believed that it would not be long before more people came to join her team. The 75 of you, plus. She paused and looked at the people of the Gu clan standing at the side. She gestured, you all also join the team. I will regroup you. In the future, you will be in teams of 10. Yes. The people of the Gu clan responded and walked forward one by one to line up side by side. When the clan leader and elder were about to go over, they were stopped by Fengzhou. Old Gu, elder, the two of you do not need to join the team. I have other things to arrange for you later. Yes. The two of them responded and returned to Fengzhou's side to stand quietly. Other than the few women, children, and youths from the Gu family, there were a total of 100 people who had returned to their positions. Thus, Fengzhou divided them into teams of 10 people, and each of them formed 10 teams. You, and the rest of you, step out. Fengzhou picked one person from each team. The cultivator who was selected took a step forward and stood quietly. Fengzhou glanced at them and said, the 10 of you will be the leaders of each team. Each of you is responsible for your own team, from your words to your daily rules. I don't want to know your previous names. Later, I will ask Old Gu to give each of you a number plate. After you get the number plate, that will be your code name from now on. Yes. Everyone's eyes flashed slightly as they responded. They were more willing to accept code names. This way, their past would not be mentioned again. Team 1, bring them to familiarize themselves with the place. Fengzhou's gaze landed on the members of Team 1, who were all from the Gu clan. Yes. They answered and led the others away to familiarize themselves with the place. Elder, go and instruct the kitchen staff to prepare some food. If they are too busy, have them go and help." After saying that, she turned to the old clan leader and said, "Old Goo, come with me." Thus, everyone dispersed. The new cultivators looked at the place and couldn't help but feel excited. In the future, this would be their home. Inside, there was not a single demonic cultivator. Inside, they did not need to be on guard against others. At this moment, none of them knew what Feng Jiu was planning to do next. They didn't know that their master would break the barrier and formation that imprisoned them in the near future and open a new window for them, at the same time, on the other side, in a city on another mountain peak. Chapter 23:15. Yes, Master. However, this subordinate heard that the current city lord of Phoenix City has a very strange temper. Some of the people chosen to stay are not very strong. There is also a matter that has already spread among those people. The demonic cultivator below reported. "Oh. What is it?" The demonic cultivator at the head of the table asked with a slightly drawn-out tone. "I heard from those cultivators who went in and were expelled that the current city lord of Phoenix City seems to be the beautiful woman in red who appeared some time ago. However, when they saw her at that time, she was dressed as a man, so they couldn't tell whether she was a man or a woman. There is such a thing." The demonic cultivator's eyes flashed with interest as if he had found a prey. "That beautiful woman in red only appeared once before disappearing. It's possible that she's disguised as a man and is hiding. Looks like it's most likely her. A woman can actually do this. This lord has a whole new level of respect for her." He stroked his chin as if he was thinking of something. When the demonic cultivator below saw this, he flattered, "Master, that woman is so beautiful and capable. She is the most suitable for a strong person like Master. If Master takes that woman, you can also take in Phoenix City and her subordinates. At that time, the power of our demon city will be even greater." Ha ha ha. Well said. Such a beautiful and capable woman is the best match for this lord. This lord's demon city is lacking a female lord. The demonic cultivator below had easily guessed what he was thinking. His carefree and joyful laughter revealed his current mood. Once he had made up his mind, he waved his hand and said, "Go, make preparations. Pick out some good treasures and send them to the Phoenix Master in Phoenix City. Tell her about this venerable's intentions." When the two demonic cultivators standing on the left and right saw this, they immediately responded and respectfully retreated. The demonic cultivator on the head of the table revealed an excited and expectant look. He seemed to think that if he sent people to send gifts to express his feelings, the other party would definitely accept. On the other side, where another force was located on another mountain, a middle-aged man who was practicing martial arts in the field stopped when he saw an old man hurrying over. He let out a sigh of relief and looked at the person who was walking over quickly. "Master." The old man bowed and called out. "You look like you're in a hurry. What happened?" the middle-aged man asked. His eyes contained an intimidating aura as they landed on the old man. "Master, there are rumors going around that Black Mountain City has changed its name to Phoenix City, and that the master of the city is now known as the Phoenix Master. Moreover, there are already over 100 people under his command, and the number of people who go to Phoenix City is still increasing every day. The influence of Phoenix City has expanded too quickly, and it has already begun to pose a threat to the various large factions here. Especially since we are relatively close to Phoenix City, several of the masters are now worried that Phoenix City will act against us." Hearing this, the middle-aged man's eyes flashed. In a low voice, he said, "The Phoenix Master of the Phoenix City is indeed a strange person. I heard that he is only around 20 years old, yet he has such great skills. Indeed, he cannot be underestimated." Chapter 23:16. Hearing this, the old man couldn't help but wipe away his sweat and said, "Master, this isn't a boring matter. There's one more thing that I haven't told you yet." "What is it?" "Tell me everything." He waved his hand and walked towards the table that was set up at the side of the field. "Master, weren't you looking for a beautiful woman in red some time ago? I heard from those eliminated cultivators that the city lord of Phoenix City is that woman in red, but she's now a woman disguised as a man." The old man quickly said. "A woman?" The middle-aged man was startled when he heard this. Then, he couldn't help but laugh. "If it's a man, perhaps he can succeed. But if it's a woman, I reckon the other forces will definitely come after hearing this news. That woman won't be able to defend Phoenix City." "Exactly." The old man agreed. It said that when the woman fought with the former city lord of Black Mountain City, she was only at the immortal saint realm. Although she has the profound spirit body, it's difficult for her to gain the upper hand in a fight with an immortal venerable expert. Moreover, the leaders of the other forces are all at the intermediate immortal venerable realm. The original city lord of Black Mountain City was only at the initial immortal venerable realm. In addition, she's also picky. She doesn't accept devil cultivators. But even we aren't as picky as her. Not only did she attract the people of the other forces, I reckon those eliminated cultivators still have resentment in their hearts. If someone goes against Phoenix City, those people will definitely take the opportunity to vent their anger. Even if that's the case, what does it have to do with us?" The middle-aged man poured himself a cup of water and said, "That's their business. As long as they don't make a move against us, we won't bother with them." Hearing his master's words, the old man bowed and retreated. After the other forces learned that the current city lord of Phoenix City was a woman, they were all tempted. While paying attention to the movements of the other forces, they were also looking for an opportunity to go to Phoenix City and find out the truth. On this day, Fengjiu was looking at the information about the other forces that Old Gu had obtained from his subordinates. After a rough understanding, he had a rough idea of what to do. Suddenly, Old Gu's voice came from outside. "Master! Come in." Fengjiu put the documents aside and looked at Old Gu, who had just entered. Seeing his strange expression, he asked, "What's the matter?" "Master, the people from the demon city have sent someone over with gifts. They said. He didn't know what to say. "Say what?" Fengjiu raised his eyebrows. What kind of words could make him so embarrassed? Elder Gu braced himself and said, "They said that their master wants to become immortal companions with you and become one family." Hearing this, Fengjiu curled his lips and sneered, "You sure have thick skin." Old Gu lowered his head, not daring to answer. It was only in these 2 days that he found out that his master was actually a woman. Although he was surprised, since they had already recognized her as their master, they would not change their mind. Moreover, he felt that even if his master was a woman, she would not be inferior to a man. This Devil City is considered one of the stronger forces among the remaining 7 forces, right? What were these things that were sent over? Did you get someone to bring them in? Fengjiu's mind turned to those treasures. She was a little curious. What kind of treasures could those people take out in this place? Chapter 23:17. Those people were from Demon City and had come with such intentions. Without his master's orders, how could he dare to let them in? Hearing this, a faint light flashed across Fengjiu's eyes. His lips curled into a smile as he gestured to Old Man Gu, "Lean over." When Old Man Gu heard this, he walked forward and leaned over to listen. He could hear her soft voice entering his ears. When he heard those words, he couldn't help but be stunned. "Are you clear?" Fengjiu raised his eyebrows and asked. "Yes, I'll go prepare immediately," Old Man Gu said in a daze. He glanced at Fengjiu with a complicated expression before turning around and quickly leaving. Seeing the dazed and complicated expression on Old Man Gu's face, Fengjiu smiled. With a wave of his hand, he took out some wine from his space and drank. At this moment, at the city gate in front, Old Man Gu came to the city gate tower and looked down. He said to the group of about 30 people outside the city gate, "My master heard that the noble lord had sent you here to deliver gifts. He has ordered everyone to enter the city. Everyone must have had a hard journey. Please rest inside and eat meat." As he spoke, he waved his hand. The barrier opened and the city gate opened. Gu Xiang led the people below to welcome them. "Everyone, this way please." The demonic cultivators who came to deliver gifts never imagined this scene. They didn't expect things to go so smoothly. It seemed that the master of Phoenix City, the Phoenix Master, was also interested in their master. Their master's strength could be said to be one of the best here. Since she was a smart person, she naturally knew what was best for her. After all, how could she, a woman, protect Phoenix City? Protect herself? At this moment, their spirits soared. They originally thought that this was a difficult task, but now it seemed that there were some benefits. Thus, each of them revealed an insufferably arrogant smile and strode in with their heads held high. But as soon as he walked in, he was startled by the sudden appearance of two mythological beasts. "These are the beasts guarding the gate. Everyone, don't be afraid. Come in with me," Gu Xiang said as he led them inside. Just as they entered, the barrier behind them closed, and the city gate closed as well. Seeing that there were only a few cultivators and an old man among them, the devil cultivators didn't think too much about it. After all, they never thought that the people of Phoenix City would dare to attack them. One had to know that if they made a move against them, it would be the same as slapping their master's face and declaring war on their devil city. Given the hundreds of people in the devil city and their master's intermediate immortal venerable strength, they would only dare to attack them if they were tired of living. "These are the treasures that our master asked us to deliver." One of the demonic cultivators in front waved his hand and took out 4 large chests from his spatial ring, placing them in front of him. He then stepped forward and opened them one by one. Old Man Gu took a look and saw that it was filled with treasures. He waved his hand and had people carry it away. Once the items lifted their heads, Old Man Gu also retreated. At the same time, he shouted, "Men! Treat them well." In the blink of an eye, 100 people appeared, surrounding the 30 people and attacking them. 100 cultivators against 30 people, this was an overwhelming victory without even fighting. Chapter 23:18. A red figure had unknowingly appeared not too far behind the crowd. She held a wine gourd in her hand and leaned against a pillar. Her expression was lazy and indifferent. She quietly watched and listened as the screams gradually died down. Then, the crowd parted and she saw the 30 corpses lying on the ground. "Hang them up on the city wall and let those people see." Her voice came from behind, neither fast nor slow. Only then did everyone turn around and see their master leaning on the side drinking wine. Looking at their master's indifferent and lazy appearance, as well as the coldness in his eyes, everyone couldn't help but put away their emotions. They respectfully responded and hung the 30 corpses on the city wall. They had heard that their master was a woman. However, aside from his peerlessly beautiful face, they could not see the weakness of a woman in their master. Instead, they saw more of a man's fierceness and thunderous methods. This made it very difficult for them to link their master with a woman. "Master, I've already ordered people to carry the 4 chests to your courtyard." Old Man Gu stepped forward and said. Actually, those treasures were not very useful here. They were all trapped here and could not leave this place. There was no point in having so many treasures. To be honest, those chests of treasures were not as useful as the meat of a few vicious beasts. Tell them to keep an eye out for now to prevent any sneak attacks. Also, be careful when you go out. After Fingjiu left these words, he turned and left. In less than 2 days, the news of 30 demonic cultivators' corpses hanging on the city wall of Feng City had spread. Once this news spread, it immediately caused a huge uproar. That Phoenix Master actually dared to kill the people of Demon City. Her courage is not small at all. The middle-aged man was astonished. This was the first time he had felt such a shock. Not small at all. She's simply arrogant and doesn't care about the consequences. An old man said, then turned to the middle-aged man and said, Master, Feng City's actions are really out of everyone's expectations. I don't think anyone would have thought that she would dare to kill the people who had delivered the gifts and hang them on the city wall as a show of force. It's not just a show of force. She's making an example out of him. The middle-aged man smiled and said, when the news spread that she is a woman, many people have their eyes on her. Her move is to tell those who have other thoughts about her that before they have any ideas about her, they'd better weigh themselves first. His voice paused, and his wise eyes flashed. Once this news spreads, those who have designs on her will not dare to act rashly. I have to say, this Phoenix Master is really something. That's true. However, once the Devil City receives the news, they will probably take action against the Phoenix City. The Devil City has the highest number of people among the several forces. With the Phoenix City's current battle team of about 100 people, they are no match for the Devil City. That might not be the case. The middle-aged man walked slowly with his hands behind his back and said, since she dared to kill those people, then she naturally isn't afraid of those fellows from Devil City. Just watch. We'll know the results soon. Hearing his master's words, the old man didn't say anything else. He bowed and retreated. Chapter 23:19. Master, something has happened. The demonic cultivator shouted as he quickly ran into the hall and knelt down to report, Master, something big has happened. The people from Phoenix City killed the people we sent and hung them on the city walls as a demonstration. What? The demon commander pushed the woman in his arms away and suddenly stood up. His entire body was filled with killing intent as he angrily asked, What did you say? Say it again. Master, the Phoenix Lord of Phoenix City killed our people and hung them on the city walls as a demonstration. Right now, everyone outside is laughing at our demon city. The demonic cultivator braced himself and said it again. How dare she? He slammed his hand heavily on the table and smashed it into pieces. At this moment, the demonic aura around his body was extremely strong. His killing intent burst out, causing the woman who retreated to the side and the demonic cultivator in front of her to spit out a mouthful of blood. Master, please spare us. The powerful pressure and killing intent made it hard for them to breathe. The blood in their bodies felt like it was about to explode. They had no choice but to open their mouths and beg for mercy in an attempt to calm down their furious master. Seeing the two unable to withstand his anger and pressure and spitting out blood, the demon commander calmed down and withdrew his aura. However, his killing intent did not dissipate. How dare she kill this demon commander's people? She is openly challenging this demon commander. Very good. This noble one would like to see just what kind of confidence this Phoenix Master has to be so arrogant. His gloomy voice was filled with killing intent. He waved his hand and shouted, Gather everyone for this demon commander. This demon commander wants to kill his way into Phoenix City. I want to avenge our dead brothers. Yes. The demonic cultivators below quickly retreated and beat the drum to gather everyone in the city. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of the drum rang out and the cultivators in the city were startled. They quickly rushed to the front of the hall. When they arrived, many people had already gathered. In front of the crowd, the demon commander was already standing there. 300 to 400 people quickly lined up neatly and looked at their master in front of them, waiting for his orders. After everyone had gathered, the demon venerable at the front spoke in an oppressive voice, The people of Phoenix City are too arrogant. Not only did he kill my demonic cultivators, he even hung them from the city gates as a show of force. Today, we will avenge our fallen brothers. Kill them all. Kill them all. Kill them all. Everyone was holding swords or sabers in their hands. They pointed to the sky and shouted. Their fighting spirit was biting cold, and their auras were soaring to the sky. Seeing this, the demon sovereign revealed a satisfied smile. He raised his hand and signaled for everyone to calm down. The Phoenix City has just been established, and there are only about 100 people. Today, I only need 200 people to come with me. The rest will stay in the city to prevent other forces from attacking. Yes. All the demonic cultivators agreed. They felt that 200 people against 100 people was definitely an overwhelming victory. They didn't even need to fight to win. Thus, the demon sovereign left his left and right assistants to lead the remaining 100 or so people to guard this place. Then, he led the 200 devil cultivators towards Phoenix City in a grandiose manner. The other forces quickly received the news of the demon city's movements. They were all waiting to watch a good show. Chapter 23:20. 2 days later, on a night, a group of demonic cultivators quietly approached Phoenix City. They gathered in front of the city gates, and when they saw the corpses hanging from the gates, their expressions changed. Especially the demon sovereign who had walked out from behind the crowd. His head was tightly knitted together as he stared eerily at Phoenix City. He then ordered the people around him, "Take down the corpses." Yes. 2 groups of demonic cultivators stepped forward and took down the corpses. They then piled them up and burned them with fire. Break through the city gates. Kill our way in. The demonic cultivators shouted in a deep voice. With one order, a group of demonic cultivators took the lead and charged forward. However, when they reached the city gates, they were violently repelled by a barrier. Bang, bang, bang. Everyone was repelled and fell to the ground. Blood seeped from their mouths. One of them looked at the demon sovereign and said, "Master, there's a barrier here. We can't break in. You want to block my path with a mere barrier? How naive." The demon sovereign's gloomy voice slowly rang out. He stepped forward and gathered a powerful aura in his hands. A seal accompanied the aura and attacked with a swoosh. With a loud bang, the barrier was broken. In the air, the aura of spiritual force spread out like water ripples and disappeared in the air. The barrier is open. Charge! Kill them all! The surrounding demonic cultivators roared excitedly. One by one, they pulled out their swords and charged into the city. The demon sovereign who had broken the barrier narrowed his sinister eyes and sneered, "You dare to declare war on me with this kind of strength? You really don't know the meaning of death." He clasped his hands behind his back and walked in step by step. Just as he walked through the city gate, he suddenly stopped and turned around. He looked at the seal that had appeared in the air and closed the city gate. He could not help but be stunned. She actually set up 2 barriers? The demon sovereign stared in astonishment at the barrier that had sealed off their escape route like ripples in water. He watched as the barrier spread from the city gates to the sky, surrounding the entire Phoenix City. At this moment, he finally understood that the barrier he had broken through earlier was not the Phoenix City's barrier. He was afraid that the Phoenix Master was just using a small trick to confuse them. The barrier that had sealed off their escape route was the real barrier protecting the city. Thinking of this, he once again condensed a powerful aura in his hand. At the same time, he formed a seal between his hands and attacked the barrier. "Break for me." A low shout rang out, but it wasn't like the previous rumbling explosion. Instead, the powerful airflow was like a stone thrown into the sea, bottomless and unable to stir up any waves. Seeing this scene, he had a bad feeling in his heart. His escape route had been blocked even before the fight began. He was afraid that strange, why isn't there a single person here? After the devil cultivator entered, they found that there was not a single person. What's that smell? Do you guys smell a fragrance? A devil cultivator said as he took a deep breath and smelled the fragrance in the air. It smells like meat. No, that's not right. It smells like the smell of boiling wine. No way, it's clearly a medicinal fragrance. Is there? Why don't I smell anything? I don't smell anything either. Chapter 23-21. They were all here, so why were there some who smelled it and some who didn't? Furthermore, those who smelled it were all different. That was strange. Look! There's roasted meat over there. A whole roasted beast is roasting over the fire. That's where the fragrance is coming from. A devil cultivator pointed at a ferocious beast roasting over a bonfire not far away. The golden yellow skin of the ferocious beast looked very crispy. Smelling the fragrance, the devil cultivators, who had only eaten some fruits to fill their stomachs after traveling for 2 days, couldn't help but swallow their saliva. There's not a single person here, but there's roasted meat. Could it be that the meat is poisonous? A devil cultivator said as his eyes stared at the oily roasted meat. There's even wine boiling over there. The people of Phoenix City are too indulgent. Where did they get the wine? How many years has it been since I smelled wine? I'm dying of thirst. A devil cultivator's face was full of greed. He couldn't help but walk forward as he said, "Why don't I see if there's any poison? If there's no poison, brothers, we can fill our stomachs." Everyone's eyes moved slightly, but they didn't say anything. They watched as the person stepped forward and used a silver needle to test the roasted meat. Seeing that the needle was still as shiny as before, he couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, "The roasted meat isn't poisonous." He then tested the wine. There was also no poison. He immediately said to them, "The meat and wine aren't poisonous." With that, he scooped up a bowl of warm wine and drank it. He then cut a large piece of meat and ate it. Everyone saw that he was fine even after taking big bites. They couldn't help but swallow their saliva and follow him. "What are you all doing?" The demon Honor's sinister voice rang out. Everyone couldn't help but stop in their tracks. They turned around to look at their master who was walking over. "Master, there's food in front." A devil cultivator whispered. "Food? Humph. Have you forgotten what you're here for? Who allowed you to eat here? Find them all. Find them and kill them one by one." The demon Honor's gloomy voice was filled with killing intent. Everyone's hearts trembled. They immediately replied, "Yes." Then they scattered and searched the city. "What are you waiting for?" The demon sovereign glared at the demonic cultivator who was eating the meat, then lifted his leg and kicked him. The man scrambled away, not forgetting to swallow the meat in his mouth. At this time, the demon venerable sat down by the bonfire and asked a devil cultivator beside him to cut a piece of meat for him and ladle a bowl of wine for him. Eating meat and drinking wine, he cursed under his breath, "The people of Phoenix City really know how to enjoy themselves. We don't even have any wine, but who knows where they got all this good stuff." When the demonic cultivator beside him heard this, he hurriedly said, "Master, once we exterminate the people of Phoenix City, their things will also be ours. At that time, we won't have to worry about not having good wine to drink." Ha 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 ha. Well said. The demon lord raised his head and laughed. He waved his hand and said, "You get a bowl of wine too." When the devil cultivator heard this, his eyes lit up and he hurriedly expressed his thanks, "Thank you, master." Then, he went forward to get a bowl of wine and gulped it down like it was water. He hadn't tasted wine for many years. Now that he tasted it, he felt that it was so wonderful that words couldn't describe it. However, just as the two of them were drinking wine and eating meat, suddenly, a cry of surprise came from the city. "How can this be? How can this be? Hiss! It's so itchy! It's so itchy!" Chapter 23-22. Hearing that voice, the demon king stood up. But just as he stood there, his vision started to blur. He felt a buzzing sound in his ears, and his vision started to blur. A figure appeared in front of him, and it looked like he was holding a knife and was about to slash at him. Instinctively, he threw out a backhand attack. Bang! Pfft! Moss, mastered out the demonic cultivator who had been sent flying, fell to the ground. He felt his sternum shatter and his internal organs were injured. Blood was still flowing from his mouth. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he could not utter a single word. Unwillingly, he swallowed his breath. The demonic cultivator's cry of "Master" woke the demon Honor from his daze. He was shocked. After calming himself down, he saw that the person who had been sent flying was the demonic cultivator who had been helping him cut meat and ladling wine. Sounds of frenzied voices came from behind him. The sound of swords clashing and the aura of battle surging in the air made him take a big step forward. With one step, his figure instantly flew more than 10 meters away. When he arrived at the scene of the battle, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He saw that the people who were fighting fiercely in front of him were all his subordinates. However, he did not know what was going on. All of them were recklessly slashing at each other as if they did not care about their lives. The scene was bloody and there were many corpses on the ground. When he saw this, he felt his blood rushing to his head as if it was about to explode. He shouted angrily, "All of you, stop! All of you, stop! What are you doing?" However, his voice was not enough to make them stop. Those people were still slashing at each other. Every one of them displayed an extremely savage and bloodthirsty side. Their eyes were filled with the determination to kill each other. Seeing this, the demon Honor was anxious and furious. His monstrous anger surged. He clenched his fists and raised his head to roar, "People of Phoenix City! Get the hell out here for me!" His voice contained the coercion and aura of a celestial honor. As his voice rang out, the coercion and aura also spread in the air. The powerful coercion came crashing down, instantly causing the demonic cultivators who were in the midst of the chaotic battle to fall to the ground, holding their heads and screaming. At this moment, a red figure silently appeared in the night sky. Her red clothes fluttered in the night wind, and her back was facing the crescent moon in the night sky. Therefore, the demon venerables below could not see her face clearly. "It's you. You did it, didn't you?" The demon lord stared at the figure that appeared in midair. Murderous intent burst out from his body. He immediately gathered his chi and flew upwards. When he arrived in the air and saw the face of the red figure, even though he was filled with anger and killing intent, he was still stunned. That face was indeed peerless. The corners of her eyes were slightly raised, and the corners of her lips were slightly curled. All of them exuded a devilish and wanton aura. Although she was dressed in men's clothing, it did not detract from her peerless elegance and beautiful appearance. This woman. She was even more stunning than the portrait. Gifts are reciprocal. Are you satisfied with the gift I prepared for you? Feng 9 raised the corners of his lips and chuckled. His evil voice spread in the night wind with a spiritual aura. The demon reverend stared at her. Even though she was a peerlessly beautiful woman, he still had the urge to strangle her to death at this moment. Chapter 23:23. The cultivators of Phoenix City who came out from behind were astonished to see the chaotic scene. They thought it would be a fierce battle, but they didn't even need to do anything. More than half of the demonic cultivators had already died. They were secretly shocked as they watched the frenzied demonic cultivators kill each other. Their master's ability was too terrifying. Fortunately, they followed their master. Otherwise, they would be the ones who had lost their minds and were killing each other. Attack! Don't leave a single one alive. Old Man Gu ordered in a deep voice, ordering the people behind him to eliminate the demonic cultivators whose fighting strength was gradually weakening. Hundreds of people rushed out from the shadows, waving their swords and sabers as they attacked the demonic cultivators, joining the chaotic battle. In the sky, Feng Jiu was fighting with the demon sovereign. The moment they exchanged blows, the demon sovereign's expression changed, and he was shocked. "You're not a celestial sage expert. You're a mid-stage celestial sage expert. So what? You just need to know that none of you can escape today." Fengjiu attacked with the red armillary sash in his hand. It was as sharp as a sword. The red sash swept out, carrying the aura of an ancient divine beast. With a bang, it hit the demon sovereign. "An!" The demon sovereign groaned and retreated. A trace of blood flowed out of his mouth, and his eyes widened in shock. He muttered, "The aura of an ancient divine beast. How can there be the aura of an ancient divine beast? Who are you?" "Someone who can kill you." As soon as Fengjiu finished speaking, the red figure flashed out again. When the red armillary sash swept out, flames appeared with a whoosh. Using the red armillary sash, he suddenly rushed toward the demon sovereign. Just as the demon sovereign was about to block, he found that the spiritual energy in his body suddenly disappeared. He couldn't help but be shocked. In a flash, the flames rushed up his body and burned his hair. Ah! The sound of burning flesh and an unpleasant smell entered his nose. The burning pain made him cry out in pain. Unable to extinguish the flames on his body, he hurriedly took off his outer robe and used his hand as a knife to cut off his hair. "I'm going to kill you." His sorry state made him roar out in anger. His hands clenched into fists. Only then did he realize that he had lost all his spiritual energy for some reason, and his body fell from the sky. Feeling that something was wrong with his body, he immediately gritted his teeth, gave up on the body, and fled with his nascent soul. Seeing him decisively take out his nascent soul to escape, Fengjiu was a little surprised of them. Because she didn't expect this, his nascent soul was able to escape from her range. However, this place was protected by a barrier. Even if he escaped with his nascent soul, he wouldn't be able to escape her barrier. She wasn't worried about this. She looked down and saw the demon sovereign's body being stepped on by everyone. Her eyes lit up and she couldn't help but be startled. She saw that when the demon sovereign's nascent soul found that it had nowhere to run, it actually ran back and entered a demonic cultivator's body to possess it. Chapter 23-24. With a muffled groan, the sharp arrow pierced through the demonic cultivator's body, leaving only a bloody hole. The demonic cultivator also fell to the ground. Even in death, his eyes were still wide open, as if he was unwilling to believe that he had been killed just like that. Fengjiu turned around and glanced at Gu Xiang, who was not far away, and revealed a smile. "Well done." Things had gone smoother than she had expected. With the death of the demon sovereign, the matter of taking over the demon city would be much simpler. Below, when the cultivators of Phoenix City saw that the demon sovereign had died, their fighting spirit surged. Each of them fought bravely, and not long after, they had wiped out all the demonic cultivators below. Old Gu had someone check to see if there were any survivors. Finally, he reported to Fengjiu, "Master, there were a total of 201 people. Not a single one survived. After cleaning up, everyone should have a good rest. 3 days later, follow me to attack the demon city," Fengjiu said to everyone. Hearing this, everyone's hearts stirred. Sonorous and powerful voices immediately responded, "Yes." Fengjiu returned to the courtyard first, while the others began to clean up the corpses in the city. As the sky gradually brightened, the rogue cultivators guarding outside the city were all shocked. There was no more movement. Was it over? The people of the demon city couldn't have died inside, right? When this thought appeared, the rogue cultivators only felt that it was inconceivable. 3 days later, Phoenix City was still the same as before. However, the news of the demon city's defeat quickly spread. Once this news came out, it finally attracted the attention of the other forces. When the demonic cultivators of the demon city heard the news, they were so frightened that they abandoned the city and fled, not daring to stay there. Because the entire demon city was without a master, it became an empty city. It was also because of this that the people of the other forces sent people to sit down and talk. They felt that the Phoenix Master of Phoenix City had already brought about a threat to them. If they continued to let her go, they were afraid that the next person to be destroyed would be one of them. As the saying goes, if the lips are cold, the teeth will die. Here, the 8 forces were in a balance and had nothing to do with each other. However, since the Phoenix Master had taken over Black Mountain City and now destroyed the Demon City, who would be next? They did not believe that the next person would not be one of them. That person came menacingly and was so powerful. If they did not pay attention to her, it would be too late for regrets. The middle-aged man near Phoenix City also received letters from the other forces. However, after reading them, he threw them to the side. When the old man saw this, he couldn't help but ask, "Master, do you intend to meet them? To talk? What is there to talk about?" The middle-aged man sneered, "I think those people have become stupid after being locked in here. Their brains have slowed down. In this kind of situation, with this kind of change, isn't it very clear what they should do? There. Come with me." Seeing him walk out, the old man hurriedly followed. When they arrived outside, they followed him on their swords. Seeing that they were heading in the direction of the Phoenix City, the old man was so scared that his back was covered in cold sweat. Chapter 23-25. That's right. The middle-aged man stood with his hands clasped behind his back. His robe fluttered in the wind. His eyes were looking afar as he said in a deep voice, "I have to meet the Phoenix Master. Now is the perfect opportunity." The corner of the old man's mouth twitched. He didn't know what to say. His master was different from the people of the other forces. Ever since he took over the mountain, he had been handling the matters below. It could be said that although he was in the city, there were very few people who had seen him on a daily basis. Some of the cultivators who joined later probably didn't know that he was the master. However, after following him for so many years, he found that his master had never made a wrong decision. He believed that his master wouldn't make a mistake this time as well. After about a day, the two arrived at the gate of Phoenix City. Before that, Fengjiu and the others had just returned. As for the Devil City, she had already set up a barrier. No one could enter that place unless she was the one who went there. She had just returned to her courtyard to take a bath when she heard a report from outside. It said that the only immortal venerable expert among the remaining 6 forces, who wasn't a devil cultivator, had come to visit. She came out of the water, put on her clothes, dried her hair, and went outside. "Master, the visitor is one of the neighboring city lords. He's the one who doesn't really care about the affairs of the city. The people here call him Unfettered Venerable Lord. He's waiting outside the city gate. He came alone." Fengjiu raised his brows and looked at Gu Xiang. "He brought an old man with him. I looked around and there's no one else behind him. Interesting." She smiled and said, "Invite him to the hall in front. I'll be there in a moment." "Yes." Gu Xiang responded and then left. Outside, Unfettered Venerable Lord was invited in. Behind him was the old man. When the two entered the city, they saw that the cultivators were actually training. There were also some young children and youths at the side. Seeing this, Unfettered Venerable Lord was slightly surprised. He didn't expect that the Phoenix City would even accept children and youths. This Phoenix Master was really strange. "Please come in." Gu Xiang led the way and brought the two of them to the inner hall. After that, he retreated. "Master, this Phoenix City is really different. I didn't think that they would even accept such young children and youths. It seems that the Phoenix Lord of Phoenix City is a very kind person," the old man said objectively. From the moment he entered until now, this was his impression of the Phoenix Lord. Although he had yet to see the Phoenix Master, how cold-blooded could a person who could take in those children and youths be? A kind-hearted person. Unfettered Sovereign Lord chuckled. None of the people exiled to this place are good people. How can a woman like her survive here and make those people worship her as their master? If she doesn't have some tricks up her sleeve, how can it be justified? As for being kind, I don't think that's necessarily the case. At most, they're just unlike other cultivators who willfully slaughter the innocent. Well said. Fengjiu walked in from outside. His gaze fell on the middle-aged man as he said, let alone inside, even outside, there aren't many kind-hearted people. I admit that I'm not a kind-hearted person, but I won't kill the innocent. Chapter 23-26. This is the first time I've met you. It's true that hearing about you can't compare to meeting you in person. Phoenix Master, you're indeed a peerless beauty. You're different from the rest. As he spoke, his gaze fell on Fengjiu's face. As she walked in, her gaze fell on him as well. After hearing his words, she replied, Honorable Lord, you're also extraordinary. You're more courageous than others. She walked to the main seat and sat down. She said to Gu Xiang, who had followed her in, pour the wine. Yes. Gu Xiang responded. He turned around and took out a jug of wine and 2 wine cups. He poured a cup for Fengjiu and the Honorable Lord. Then, he stood at the side with the jug in his hand. Smelling the fragrance of the wine, a smile appeared on the Supremacy's face. I really didn't expect the Phoenix Master to have such good wine. It looks like I should have come earlier. As he spoke, he picked up the wine cup and was about to drink it when the old man behind him stopped him. Master, this wine. The old man was worried that the people of Phoenix City would drug the wine. Knowing what he was thinking, the High Lord smiled and said, Don't worry about it. Only the 2 of us are here today. Moreover, we're already in Phoenix City. Furthermore, with Phoenix Master's strength, even if you want to do anything to us, you don't have to put any effort into the wine. With that, he took a sip of the wine. As the wine entered his mouth, it was mellow and pleasant. He could not help but squint his eyes. His expression carried a trace of reminiscence and intoxication. Ever since I came here, I haven't had such good wine for many years. He finished the wine in his cup and looked at Fengjiu. Phoenix Master, I'm a guest today. As the host, you shouldn't be reluctant to part with this jug of wine, right? Hearing this, Fengjiu smiled. Of course not. She gestured for Gu Xiang to put the wine on his table. Seeing this, Gu Xiang stepped forward and put down the wine jug. Then, he returned to Fengjiu's side. Although he was a celestial sage expert, he felt extremely comfortable serving tea and wine by his master's side. At least, he was the only one who could stay by his master's side and serve him in this group of over 100 people. Fortunately, his master did not dislike him for being a rough man. The High Lord took a sip from the wine jug. His actions were casual and unrestrained, as if he wasn't a guest in someone else's house, but in his own. His carefree and unrestrained behavior made Fengjiu think highly of him. Gu Xiang. And Fengjiu. I don't have anything else here, but I do have 2 dishes to go with wine. If you don't mind, please come outside. She made an inviting gesture and invited him to the stone table outside to drink and eat while they talked. The 2 of them sat outside. A few dishes were placed on the table. Gu Xiang filled Fengjiu's cup with wine. Fengjiu took a sip of wine and chatted with the Honorable Lord. Try these dishes. Our cooks are pretty good. Chapter 23-27. Hearing this, the old man's mouth twitched and he turned his face away. Master was too honest. How could he tell her that he was here to find out the truth? But now, I've changed my mind. As the High Lord spoke, he took another sip of wine and looked at Fengjiu. You have good wine and good food here. How about this? I'll stay too. I won't go back. You can choose from the people in my city. If you like them, you can choose them. If you don't like them, you can chase them out. How about that? Fengjiu raised his eyebrows. Really? Do you think I'm joking with you? Really? How about it? He ate, completely ignoring the old man behind him who kept tugging at his robe. Seeing this, she smiled and poured another cup of wine. Do you know what the conditions are for me to stay here? What other conditions can there be? Isn't it just to serve you as my master? Although we're both immortal supremes and our strength is about the same, that's all there is in this place. So what if we're stronger? What's wrong with serving you as my master? But the prerequisite is that there's enough wine. As he spoke, he took another sip. He felt the old man behind him tugging at his robes. Suddenly, he slammed the wine pot down and turned around to glare at him. If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you tugging at my robes? Hearing this, the old man's face burned. He looked at Fengjiu awkwardly. Seeing that she only smiled and didn't say anything, he lowered his voice and persuaded, Master, you can't just acknowledge her as your master like this. Don't forget, she's a woman. You want to acknowledge her as your master just because of this wine. How can you do that? Pfft. The Lord sneered and glanced at the old man. Then, he looked at Fengjiu. Phoenix Master, why do you think I should stay and pledge my allegiance to you? Fengjiu took a sip of wine and smiled. You see the situation clearly and know that this is the best way to do it. She paused and looked at him. That's why I said that you're not ordinary. You're also very brave. He dared to come here just like this. It was enough to show his courage. If she had such a person under her command, he could help her manage the Tianyuan Palace in the future. Did you hear that? He looked at the old man. That's the reason why I decided to stay. In his opinion, this was all there was to it. His strength couldn't improve and he was trapped in this place. He was completely dumbfounded. If he had known that his master had come here with such an idea, he would have stopped his master from coming even if he was beaten to death. But now, it seemed that his master did not intend to go back. For a moment, he stood there in a daze. He felt that he could not keep up with his master's thoughts. If master acknowledged the Phoenix Master as his master, then who would his master be in the future? Gu Xiang, who was standing behind Fengjiu, was also a little dumbfounded. He didn't expect that the Lord would come to them and say that he wanted to stay and acknowledge their master as his master. If this matter was really settled, and the news spread, the other forces would be so shocked that they wouldn't be able to recover for a long time. They would start to feel restless. Chapter 23-28. Perhaps it was because of the other party's carefree character. When he said he wanted to stay, Fengjiu didn't say much. He just told Gu Xiang to arrange a place for him and at the same time, let the people below know. Some of my subordinates are pretty good. Do you want to find some time to take a look? He looked at Fengjiu and asked. There's no rush. She smiled and drank a cup of wine. As long as we spread the news that you've pledged your allegiance to me, I believe that those people will follow you even without me looking. Hearing this, Unfettered Supremacy laughed. That's right. The two of them chatted and drank until it was late into the night. Fengjiu said to Gu Xiang, take him to rest. Then, he got up and left. Hey, we're brothers from now on. He grinned and reached out to pat his shoulder. However, when he met Unfettered Supremacy's gaze, he couldn't help but turn his hand and pat his thigh. Let's go. I'll take you to rest. This person was stronger than him, so much so that he couldn't help but shrink back when he looked at him. As expected, strength was greater than everything. Just as Fengjiu said, when the news of Unfettered Supremacy's allegiance to her spread, the devil cultivators of the other forces panicked. The cultivators who were originally in unfettered supremacy city also rushed over when they heard the news. Even though they knew that Fengjiu didn't accept devil cultivators and evil cultivators, there were still people who came with a glimmer of hope. Days passed in here. In the blink of an eye, several months had passed. Outside, in Hundred River City's Heavenly Pill building, the atmosphere was somewhat heavy. On this day, the people in charge of Heavenly Pill building gathered in the backyard to discuss matters. Among them, Mo Qin was also there. In addition to Mo Qin, there were also Ning Lang, Duan Yi, Luo Fei, and Song Ming, who had been trained by Fengjiu. Speaking of which, it's strange. Ever since Brother Guan received the letter and left, there has been no news of him for the past few months. However, recently, there has been news of him sneaking into the 4 major sects and killing several peak leaders. Now, the people of the 4 great sects are furious and have issued a kill order. At the same time, they have also sent people to guard our Heavenly Dan building. Once he returns, they will capture him and send him to the 1000-ceasing peak to pay with his life for those peak masters. Now, we don't know where our master is. Young Master Mo Qin, what should we do about this? They looked at Mo Qin and asked for his opinion. Mo Qin glanced at them and said, "What we should do now is to find Guan Shilin and ask him if he was the one who did all this. If not, where had he been all this time? As long as he can provide proof that he didn't do those things, the 4 great immortal sects won't do anything to him." Song Ming, who was next to him, nodded and said, "I don't think he did it. He doesn't have the motive. Moreover, there is something wrong with the time he left." Hearing this, Duan Yi looked at them in agreement and said, "That's right. At that time, he also told me that Fengjiu wasn't here now. He wanted to protect Heavenly Pill building on her behalf and didn't plan to go out for a while. However, when he suddenly received the letter that day, he left without saying anything and didn't return. I think this must have something to do with what happened these days." Chapter 23-29. The people in the backyard were discussing matters. In front of the Heavenly Pill house, Bai Qingqing was wiping the cabinets. Not far from her, Yang Xiao was staring at her. "You've been here for a few months. Why do you need me to tell you what to do? For example, the corners of the cabinets must be wiped clean. Also, these places can't have dust." Yang Xiao crossed his arms and looked at the beautiful Bai Qingqing while pointing at her from the side. When she saw some of the customers staring at Bai Qingqing lecherously, she snorted and said, "What are you guys looking at? Haven't you seen a woman before?" "Hey, Miss Xiao, this Miss Bai," she thought before a man in embroidered clothes could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Yang Xiao, Her. You don't have to think about her. You've been staring at her every day and asking around. Don't you already know her background? Let me tell you, if you go overboard, you won't be able to enter the Heavenly Pill house in the future. I know, but I feel that letting Miss Bai be a maid by the ghost doctor's side is really. The man in embroidered clothes said with heartache. It was said that such a delicate and beautiful woman was the young miss of a large family. She was originally the proud daughter of the Heavenly Sun Immortal sect, one of the 4 great sects. Now, she was reduced to being a maid. This was too wasteful. It's really wasteful. Yang Xiao said and glanced at Bai Qingqing who was wiping the cabinets. She deserves it. She knew exactly how this woman came to be. A person like her deserved to suffer like this. Moreover, she felt that letting her be elder sister Feng's maidservant wasn't much of a hardship. If you want to buy something, go in. Don't keep walking around here. Yang Xiao said to the man in embroidered clothes. After glancing at Bai Qingqing, he turned and left. When the man in embroidered clothes saw that Yang Xiao had left, he went forward. And Bai. Before he could say anything, Bai Qingqing, who was wiping the cabinets, raised her head and glanced at the man in disgust. Get lost. She stared at the man, her beautiful face full of disgust. Being stared at by her, the man only felt ashamed and annoyed. He snorted coldly, flicked his sleeves, and walked out. At the same time, he left behind a sentence, "And you call yourself the Bai family's young miss? You're just a woman with a pretty face. Why are you acting all high and mighty?" Bai Qingqing pursed her lips as she watched the man leave. She did not say anything else and continued to wipe the items. That day, Fengjiu said that he would give her a month to settle the matter and report here. Even though she was unwilling, she still came in the end. She remembered that when her family members heard the news, they were all furious. There were even people who were jealous of her in the past who gloated and made sarcastic remarks. Her family members even went to the sect, hoping that the sect would intercede for her. But in the end, she still came to the Heavenly Pill House. Perhaps it was because everyone here knew how she came here, so the people here were not friendly to her. They were all very cold and indifferent to her. What shocked and surprised her the most was that everyone here was actually so outstanding. Chapter 23:30. The moment she saw the pills in the Heavenly Pill Dispensary, she finally understood why the alchemist of Heavenly Sun Immortal Sect lost to Ghost Dr. Fengjiu. It was undeniable that she was very repulsed when she first came here. However, she had been here for a few months now. Although she did not know why she had not seen her master, Fengjiu, she knew that at this moment, she was no longer repulsed by such a master. In fact, she was even a little worried and nervous that she would always be despised and treated coldly. She just didn't know where her master had gone. Why hadn't she seen him yet? Fengjiu, who was trapped in the floating place, had handed over the matter to his subordinates while he cultivated in seclusion in the space. 2 months ago, she had studied how to break the formation and boundary of this place. However, she hadn't broken through to the Immortal Emperor realm yet, so she didn't break the formation and boundary first. Another point was that the devil cultivators and cultivators here hadn't been reorganized yet. If she suddenly opened the boundary and broke the formation and allowed them to escape, she was afraid that with their ruthless and bloodthirsty temperament and powerful combat strength, they would inevitably cause a bloody storm outside. Naturally, she didn't want to see such a scene and such consequences. However, what she didn't expect was that it took her several months to reach the peak of Immortal Venerable Realm after cultivating in the space from the Immortal Venerable Realm. On this day, she came out of the space and walked forward. Under a tree, she met Unfettered Venerable Lord, who was drinking wine. "Changqing, why are you drinking again? How's the matter I asked you to handle going?" Fengjiu slowly walked over and asked Unfettered Venerable Lord. Hearing Fengjiu calling his name, he turned his head to look at her. When he saw her qi, a trace of surprise flashed across his eyes. His voice was somewhat strange and astonished. "Master, you've advanced." There were restrictions in this place, so none of them were able to advance. How did she manage to advance? The qi that was faintly surging from her body was already at the complete Immortal Venerable Realm. Such qi was the strongest among everyone here. However, her qi wasn't like this a few months ago. He didn't know about the others, but he knew her original level. No matter how strong she was, she definitely hadn't reached the complete Immortal Venerable Realm. Hearing this, Fengjiu raised his eyebrows slightly. "You can see it. She's only at the complete Immortal Venerable Realm. She hasn't stepped into the Immortal Emperor realm." Hearing this, his hand that was holding the wine jug couldn't help but tremble. "You can still advance. Immortal Emperor. How's that? How are things going?" She stopped beside him and asked again. Only then did Changqing come back to his senses. He glanced at her and said, "Rest assured, it's all been dealt with. Right now, this place is under our control. I'll have people guard the people below first. I'll tell you when you come out." Chapter 23:31. "Oh. Then tell me, what's your solution?" she asked with a smile. "It's nothing much. I just told them that it's not impossible to live here. However, in order to be able to live in peace in the future, I'll let them sacrifice a wisp of their divine souls to Master. With this guarantee, they naturally won't attack them. Hearing this, Fengjiu nodded. This is indeed the simplest and most direct method. This method was feasible, but there was one thing he did not know. In the end, she would have to break this barrier and array and turn this floating land into her territory. At that time, the devil cultivator and the others would naturally not allow them to stay here. Then, if they couldn't stay here, they could only leave this place. As for being able to leave this place, she believed that this was something that these people, including Changqing, didn't expect, because they already felt that they could only live here for the rest of their lives. So the problem she was worried about was that in the future, when the barrier and array were opened, allowing them to leave this place, would the devil cultivators and evil cultivators, as well as those bloodthirsty and ferocious cultivators, become even worse after leaving this place? Would they become a bully? If she only wanted them to sacrifice a wisp of their divine souls, they naturally wouldn't dare to commit crimes where she was, but if they went to other places that she didn't know, it was hard to say. However, it was undeniable that if those devil cultivators sacrificed a wisp of their divine souls and pinched it in her hand, then those people would never attack her and become her enemies. Because, as long as she moved her divine sense, they would die in an instant. However, if they only sacrificed a wisp of their divine souls, would she be able to let them leave this place in the future? This point, she still had to think it over again. Changqing saw her pondering there, and his heart was slightly surprised, so he asked, "Is this method feasible?" Fengjiu glanced at him and meaningfully said, "I'm just a little worried." Hearing this, Changqing smiled. "What's there to be worried about? Anyway, it's just inside this place." Moreover, there were words first, so they certainly wouldn't dare to joke around with their lives. "Then let's have someone arrange it. Tomorrow, let them line up one by one to come in." Fengjiu instructed, then turned and left. Seeing this, Changqing also stood up and walked forward unsteadily to arrange tomorrow's matters. The next morning, because of Fengjiu's instructions, his subordinates had already arranged everything. In the Phoenix City, the devil cultivators and evil cultivators, as well as those who weren't recruited, were already lining up and discussing in low voices. "I heard that the Phoenix Master has come out of seclusion. Today, as long as we take out a strand of our divine souls, they won't kill us because we're devil cultivators or evil cultivators. Actually, this is also good. I've been on tenterhooks for the past few months. Now that I've been trapped here forever, I still have to worry about being killed at any time. It's not easy to be vigilant at all times." "That's right. Even though we've already seen through life and death, who would wish to die if they could avoid it?" "That's right. Right now, I just want to offer a strand of my soul to the Phoenix Master and leave this place. In the future, I will definitely avoid her as far as I can from now on." Chapter 23:32. Everyone looked over and saw a red figure, surrounded by the crowd, slowly walk over and sit down on the chair in front. After the red figure sat down, the cultivators of Phoenix City slowly took a step forward and respectfully saluted with one knee. "Greetings, Master." Seeing so many cultivators, so many powerhouses, so many arrogant and unruly cultivators full of killing intent, respectfully saluting the red figure on the main seat and calling her Master, the visual impact and the shock to their hearts made the people watching from the back feel their hearts tremble. They were all evildoers who had been exiled here. They were all experts who could dominate a region outside. Wherever they went, people would look at them with reverence. But when they arrived here, they'd all submitted to the woman called Fengjiu, the Phoenix Master. They'd submitted to her because of her methods, her strength, and her courage, and they'd submitted to her wholeheartedly. "Everyone rise." Fengjiu waved her hand and a soft voice came out of her mouth. It carried the aura of spiritual power and clearly passed into the ears of the people around her. She raised her eyes to take a look. What entered her eyes was a sea of densely packed heads. The total number of people here added up to about 2,000. "Thank you, Master." Everyone responded and stood up. The teams retreated and quietly guarded the surroundings. Old Gu, who was standing beside Fingzhou, gestured, and two cultivators carried a table and placed it in front of Fingzhou. Then, she took out something and placed it on the table. Even Changqing, who was on the other side, found it strange. He didn't know what she was doing, let alone the others. "Changqing, let's begin," Fengzhou said. Hearing this, Changqing came to the side of the table and looked at the people standing in the city. He said, "Everyone knows why we are here today, so let's not delay any longer. Let's begin. Those with the strongest strength will go first." His voice passed into everyone's ears. When they heard this, the several immortal venerables standing at the front looked at each other and walked forward one by one to Fingzhou. "Phoenix Master, although unfettered Venerable Lord has already said those words, we still want to hear you say it again. Only then can we be at ease." A demon venerable said, his eyes falling on Fingzhou's exquisite face. Even though she was a peerless beauty that was rarely seen in the world, when they looked at her face and thought of her methods and courage, they could not bring themselves to have any thoughts of profaning her. Hearing this, Fingzhou glanced at the several immortal venerables in front of her and stood up. Her eyes swept across the people behind them, and a cold voice with a trace of spiritual power and pressure came out of her mouth. "As long as each of you offers a strand of your divine soul to me, and don't kill the innocent and do evil everywhere in the future, I naturally won't take your lives. However, if I find out that you've killed the innocent and do evil everywhere, Fengzhou will now put my words here, I will kill you no matter how far you are." Chapter 23:33. Perhaps it was due to the impact of her words, but no one made a sound. A devil cultivator at the immortal venerable level pursed his lips, glanced at Fengzhou, and offered up a strand of his spirit. Fengzhou glanced at him and kept that strand of his spirit. Then, she said to him, "Stretch out your right hand." The demonic cultivator was stunned. He only hesitated for a moment before reaching out with his right hand. Then, she dipped a brush in something red that looked like cinnabar and drew a flame pattern on the back of his hand. Within the pattern, she wrote a single word. "Old Gu, draw according to this pattern and write a number." Fengzhou said to Old Gu, who was beside her. Old Gu stepped forward to take a look and nodded. "Okay." Thus, Fengzhou asked someone to bring a chair for Old Gu to sit on and handed the brush to him. She watched from the side as she collected the spirits offered up by those people one by one. On this day, she busied herself until evening before she finished collecting everyone's spirits. Old Gu and Changqing took turns to draw the pattern and write the number. After they finished writing the pattern and number on the last person's right hand, they stopped. "Master, there's a total of 1,999 people." Old Gu reported the number of people. Fengzhou nodded and looked at those devil cultivators who were standing. At this moment, she said to them, "Since you've offered up a strand of your spirit to me, it's equivalent to your lives being in my hands. Then, I'll tell you a piece of news." Hearing this, everyone's hearts inexplicably jumped. Many people's expressions changed slightly as they thought to themselves, she wouldn't go back on her word, right? Could it be that she wants to cut off their spirits and kill them? Even the people of Phoenix City were slightly startled when they heard this. They were curious as to what news their master had to tell them after being in closed-door cultivation for so long. Fengzhou's lips curled up slightly when she saw that everyone's expressions had changed. A faint smile blossomed on her lips. Her brows were filled with a breathtaking confidence, and a clear and unhurried voice came out of her mouth clearly. "The news I want to tell you is that not long from now, I will open the spirit formation here and allow you to leave this isolated place." The moment this news came out, the entire Phoenix City suddenly went silent. Everyone was stunned. After being stunned for a long time, there was an explosion of cries of shock and disbelief. How is that possible? Did she say that she could break the barrier array here? Let us leave this isolated place. Ah! How could this be? I don't believe it. But, how I wish it was true. Will there really be a day when we leave? Can I really leave? This place is set up by 4 immortal sovereigns. There's also a restriction in the sky. No matter how powerful she is, she's only an immortal venerable expert. How can she save us when she was brought here? I don't believe it. No. It must be true. What the Phoenix Master said must be true. I believe in her. I believe in her. Yes. She's so powerful. She must be able to break the barrier and array here. She must be able to. Chapter 23:34. After telling them the news, Fengjiu turned and left. Seeing her leave, old Gu, Changqing, Gu Xiang, and the others looked at each other and involuntarily followed her. The others sent off the devil cultivators who were still in a state of excitement. Only the few immortal venerables were shocked after hearing Fengjiu's words. They didn't want to leave and wanted to ask for an explanation. However, the people of Phoenix City carried out the order to expel the devil cultivators from Phoenix City and close the boundary. They could only guard outside Phoenix City and wait for an opportunity to ask what was going on. Would there really be a day when they could leave this place? Old Gu, Changqing, and the others followed her all the way until they arrived inside. After seeing her sit down in the courtyard, old Gu couldn't wait to ask, "Master, is what you said before true? Can we really leave this place?" His voice was filled with unconcealable excitement. Because of this excitement, his clasped hands faintly trembled. Of course it's true. As she spoke, she looked at the 2 women from the Gu family who brought the dishes. She took out a wine gourd from her space and drank while eating. She said, "It's just that it'll take some time." Hearing this, several people looked at each other and revealed excited smiles. As long as there's a day when we can leave, no matter how long it takes, we'll wait. They didn't ask any more questions. Instead, they got a confirmation from her mouth and absolutely believed that they could leave this place. In fact, it wasn't that this place wasn't good. However, the reason why it wasn't good was because this was a place that had been set up with restrictions. This was a place where there were only evil people and no ordinary people. This place didn't even have grains and other things that could be found in the small town outside. However, if there was a day when this place could be connected to the outside world, this place would become a different place. At least, they all knew that the spiritual energy in this place was very rich. It was also because of this that this place could be set up with such a large boundary, formation, and restriction. They left the courtyard with excitement in their hearts. When they arrived outside, the people of Phoenix City surrounded them one by one and asked. When they received confirmation from them, they heard a burst of cheers from the entire Phoenix City. Hearing the cheers in the city, Fengjiu, who was eating and drinking in the courtyard, couldn't help but smile. She raised her head to look at the sky. Her eyes moved slightly as she thought of her family and friends. He had not seen them for more than half a year. He wondered how they were doing. Is everything all right? Did Xianyuan Mose, who had gone overseas, send any news back? I really do miss them, and Grandpa and Father. I wonder if they're doing well over there. She murmured softly, thinking that time really passed quickly. If little Feng Yi hadn't died when the Feng family was in trouble, how good would it be if the whole family was there now? Thinking of this, she sighed softly. When she left this place, she would find a chance to go back and see if they were doing well. Chapter 23:35. Another half a year passed. Fengjiu, who was sitting cross-legged in the space, was cultivating. On this day, his entire body's spiritual energy and profound force aura were surging. The spiritual energy in his body surged, and the aura of the green lotus in his dantian also overflowed and filled the entire space. That familiar feeling told her that she was about to break through. After cultivating for half a year, she was finally about to break through the immortal venerable rank and enter the immortal emperor rank. She immediately took out the pill she had prepared for breaking through the immortal venerable rank and entering the immortal emperor rank. This time, she must break through to the peak of the immortal emperor rank. Only then would her strength be enough to shock the 4 immortal emperors. Moreover, the 4 immortal emperors had been immortal emperors for many years. Their current strength was probably even higher than that. Only by breaking through to the immortal emperor rank would she be able to catch their attention. As the aura in the space changed, the heaven and earth in the space also changed. While she was breaking through in the space, the people outside did not know that it would not be long before they could all leave this place. In Phoenix City, Old Man Goo and the others were busy in an orderly manner. Some were assigned to hunt fierce beasts, some were stationed in the city, and some were patrolling outside. Since Feng Jiu told them that she could take them out of this place half a year ago, the smell of blood here seemed to have lessened a lot. There were very few people fighting and robbing for little things. Those with high cultivation also didn't easily kill those with low cultivation. To them, nothing was important now. Being able to leave this place was the most important thing. Therefore, they had been waiting for that day to come. Many people often gathered outside Phoenix City's gates and waited here. If there was any news, they would be the first to know. However, Phoenix City's gates were often closed and would only open when someone entered or left. Even if they wanted to know, without the permission of the people in charge of Phoenix City, the news would not reach their ears. This continued until 12 signal flares were released in the sky above Phoenix City. The people outside Phoenix City rushed back after seeing the signal flare. In the next few days, they only saw people rushing back to Phoenix City. They wanted to find out what had happened. However, no one paid them any attention. What do you think is going on? Why did the people in Phoenix City send out 12 signals in a row to gather the people outside? I'm thinking, could it be that the Phoenix Lord wants to open the boundary array here? That's why she gathered everyone back. Really? It's only been half a year since she said those words. In less than half a year, she already knows how to break the boundary array. What else could it be? Now that the 4 sides are in harmony, there have been very few people fighting and killing in the past half a year. Apart from the matter of breaking the boundary formation, I don't think there should be anything else that could make her use 12 signal flares to summon everyone back. That. We can finally leave this place. Chapter 23:36. Inside the Phoenix City, everyone was standing side by side. Each and every one of them was looking at the magnificent red figure that was slowly walking out. Everyone's gaze fell on her, and the respect and worship in their eyes were so obvious. As her figure moved, their gazes also moved. Fengjiu slowly walked out and stopped in front of everyone. Looking at the figure standing respectfully in the city, her voice, which contained spiritual power, clearly entered everyone's ears. I called you all back because I have something to tell you. Fengjiu looked at them and slowly said, tomorrow, I'm going to open the boundary array here, but you all know that this place is a boundary array set up by 4 immortal emperors. Once the boundary array is broken and the restriction here is lifted, it will inevitably alarm the 4 immortal emperors. I'm telling you today because I want you all to be prepared. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up, and they said sonorously, Master, don't worry. We're always ready. Even if we have to fight, we won't be afraid. Hearing this, Fengjiu nodded and said, tomorrow, we'll see the situation and listen to my orders. If we can avoid fighting, then it's best not to. Otherwise, fighting with immortal emperors will definitely result in heavy casualties. Today, you all have a good rest and wait for tomorrow to come. Yes. Everyone responded in a deep voice, and it was difficult to conceal the excitement in their voices. It was estimated that no one would be able to calm down and rest today. Everyone, disperse. She waved her hand. After everyone dispersed, she looked at Sang-Ching and said, "Go out and tell the demonic cultivators outside to not act recklessly tomorrow." "And, I got it." Sang-Ching responded and nodded his head before walking out. Fengjiu handed over some matters to Old Gu and the others before returning to the courtyard. She was going to have a good sleep today and wait for tomorrow to come. The demonic cultivators outside had already rushed to the Phoenix City after seeing the 12 signal flares. Now that they heard Unfettered Sovereign's words, they were all extremely excited. "We understand. Please inform the Phoenix Master that we will act according to her instructions tomorrow. We won't act recklessly." The few immortal venerables replied immediately. "Yes." After Sang-Ching complied, he had them inform the devil cultivators below before turning around and returning to Phoenix City. On this day, it could be said that outside of Fengjiu, everyone was so excited that they couldn't even close their eyes to rest. Early in the morning, everyone stared at the sky above Feng City. Fengjiu, on the other hand, only woke up around 7 in the morning. After washing her face and rinsing her mouth, she directly soared into the sky. The people below, whether they were inside or outside Phoenix City, only saw a red figure soar into the sky. Her dazzling red clothes fluttered in the air. It was extremely beautiful. Fengjiu's body was filled with spiritual energy that could be seen with the naked eye. When the immortal emperor's aura was released from her body, the people below couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air and couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Chapter 23:37. Could it be that she has always been an immortal emperor? Is she just suppressing her strength? Maybe she has always been an immortal emperor. Otherwise, how could she make unfettered reverence submit to her so easily? How could she seize the Phoenix City and kill an immortal venerable expert by herself? Only an immortal emperor expert can do that. No wonder she said she could break the formation here. She has the strength of an immortal emperor, an ancient contracted beast, and all kinds of abilities. No wonder she said she could break the formation here and let us leave this place. While the crowd was discussing, Fengjiu, who was in mid-air, formed a complicated and ancient seal with both hands. Along with the release of her immortal emperor Qi, she pointed the seal in her hand towards the sky. An ancient pressure accompanied by the strength of an immortal emperor and her natal heavenly fire shot out. With a whoosh, the seal shot towards the sky. Boom! Boom! In the middle of the day, the sky suddenly changed color. The sound of thunder rumbled unceasingly. Bolts of lightning appeared in the sky and struck the ground with a kachif sound. The people below were frightened and cried out in alarm. They all looked at the scene in the sky in shock. Boom! Fengjiu, who was standing in mid-air, looked up and saw the dark clouds above her head. The sound of thunder came from above her head, and the bolts of lightning brushed past her body. A powerful pressure pressed down on her like Mount Tai. It was as if it was angry that she was trying to break the barrier here. If she hadn't reached the peak of the immortal emperor realm, she wouldn't have been able to withstand such a powerful pressure alone. However, even if the 4 celestial emperors' auras were to press down on her, she would still be able to withstand it. Today, even if the 4 great immortal emperors appeared, she was determined to break the spirit formation and restriction here. Boom! Bang! Thunderclaps continued to ring out while wild gales rose like the roar of a ferocious beast. It was as though they wanted to blow Fengjiu away. However, the light that protected her tightly like a protective barrier around her caused the wind blades to be unable to touch her, and the lightning bolts to be unable to harm her in the slightest break for me. A cold shout came from the sky, and a flame suddenly sprang up. When the flame sprang up, it quickly connected with the ancient and complicated mark that she had launched earlier. Accompanied by a powerful pressure and the impact of spiritual energy, in that instant, there was a cracking sound coming from the horizon, followed by the sound of an explosion. Bang! When the loud explosion sounded out, 4 powerful auras of spirit energy spread out and flew to the 4 corners of the sky before disappearing. When the crowd below saw the scene in the sky, they were stunned for a moment before they burst out in excited voices. It's broken! It's broken! He has broken the restriction. Because of the visual impact of that scene, all the blood in their bodies rushed to their minds, and they felt their blood boiling. When they saw the restriction being broken, they knew that as long as they could break the last 2 barriers and the grand formation, they would be able to leave this place. Chapter 23:38. A strange look flashed across the eyes of the 4 of them. In just an instant, their spirits left their bodies and flew towards the floating place despite being in closed-door cultivation. After Fengjiu broke through the first restriction, she sensed that the pressure in the sky had vanished. She immediately soared into the sky with the intention of breaking through the grand formation. However, right at this moment, 4 dignified voices that were accompanied by fierce auras resounded from the sky. Who are you? The voices were dignified and contained a sharp aura. A powerful pressure came from the 4 voices, causing her mind to tremble and a trace of blood to flow out from her mouth. When the 4 voices came out at the same time, the people below all coughed up blood and knelt down. They couldn't even straighten their bodies. At this moment, they realized that the strength of the 4 immortal emperors was far beyond their imagination. Perhaps, after so many years, the strength of the 4 immortal emperors had surpassed the immortal emperor level. Wiping the blood from the corner of her mouth, Fengjiu looked at the 4 figures in the sky. Her eyes flashed and she said in a neither haughty nor humble tone, Fengjiu greets the 4 emperors. The 4 emperors' wise and sharp gazes fell on Fengjiu. Even though she was dressed as a man, with their cultivation, they could tell at a glance that she was a woman. Moreover, she was a genius with a profound spirit body. Their gazes swept across her body. They saw her beautiful appearance and noble temperament. There was no aura of darkness around her, nor was there any murderous aura around her. On the contrary, there was a faint holy light around her body. The 4 emperors were slightly surprised. Fengjiu, why did you enter the land of exile? Why did you break the boundary formation that we 4 emperors set up? One of them asked with a dignified and intimidating voice. His gaze was fixed on Fengjiu's clear eyes as if he wanted to see through her. This was the land of exile. Most of the people who came here were evil people. Even if 1 or 2 were occasionally sent here, they should not be people like her. Moreover, this place was jointly set up by the 4 imperial emperors. A little girl like her was actually able to break through their restrictions. This truly shocked them and made them feel that it was inconceivable. They couldn't help but guess her origins. I was sent here by a gate of darkness opened by a devil cultivator. I've been here for almost a year. After breaking the boundary formation of the 4 emperors, I naturally wanted to leave this place, she said slowly as she looked at the 4 figures. Her soul had left her body. What kind of cultivation was needed to do this? As she had guessed, the 4 of them were no longer immortal emperors. When they heard that she had entered through the gate of darkness, their eyes flashed. So that was the case. They did not expect that there would be someone among the devil cultivators who could open the teleportation formation in the land of darkness. After a slight pause, one of them opened his mouth and said, "This is the place where evil people are imprisoned. If the barrier here is broken, they will definitely return to the continent to do evil. Since you have mistakenly entered this place, we can send you away." Hearing this, the people below were shocked. They were kneeling on the ground and could not stand up. They could not even raise their heads to look at the sky. Thus, at this moment, they could not help but feel despair. Chapter 23:39. At this moment, they couldn't help but feel the despair of being abandoned. They felt that the Phoenix Master wouldn't take them away because the 4 emperors didn't plan on letting them leave at all. However, although the people in Phoenix City heard her words, they didn't panic. Instead, they waited quietly. They believed that their master would definitely take them away because they knew that their master wasn't the kind of person who only cared about themselves. Fingzhou, who was standing in the air, shook her head when she heard the four emperors' words. When the four emperors saw that she actually shook her head, they couldn't help but be surprised. You don't want to leave. Just now, she said that she opened the barrier to leave. Why did she shake her head when they wanted to send her away? No. Fingzhou said as she looked at the four emperors, I want to leave, but I also want everyone here to leave. No matter if it's devil cultivators or cultivators, I've promised them that I'll let them leave. Moreover, I'm also planning to make this floating land my territory. Hearing this, the devil cultivators below couldn't help but inwardly suck in a breath of cold air. This Phoenix Master's guts were really too big. She actually dared to say such words to the four emperors? Wasn't she afraid that the four emperors would kill her? Moreover, she actually said that she wanted to make this place her territory and make it hers. Would the four emperors be willing? If this place didn't have those restrictions and barriers, it would be a good place with rich spiritual energy. Would the four emperors be willing to give such a place to her? Only the people in Phoenix City couldn't help but smile when they heard Fingzhou's words. This was their master. Domineering enough. When the four emperors heard Fingzhou's words, they couldn't help but look at each other with a strange expression. Not only do you want to take everyone here away, but you also want us to give this place to you? It's not a gift, it's compensation. As Fingzhou spoke, he looked at the four of them and said, I was trapped in the spirit formation set up by the four monarchs for no reason at all for a year. Don't tell me that the four monarchs don't think that they should compensate me. Hearing this, the four of them were stunned. They stared at Fingzhou for a long time, not knowing what they were thinking. After a long time, one of them slowly said, It's not impossible to give it to you, but if you take the devil cultivators and those people who are full of killing intent out with you, how can you guarantee that they won't cause harm everywhere after they leave? Hearing this, Fingzhou curled his lips into a smile. Their souls are in my hands. As long as I have a thought, they will die without a doubt. Moreover, other than devil cultivators and heretic cultivators, most of them have pledged their allegiance to me and become my subordinates. With my ability, I believe that I can control them well. The four of them looked at each other and nodded slightly. Since that's the case, we'll do as you wish. You should remember this favor as well. The four of them looked at her meaningfully. Remember this favor. Fingzhou's eyes flashed. What did the four monarchs mean? Could it be that they wanted to ask her to repay this favor? As monarchs who guarded the four directions, what favor did they need from her? If you want to help someone, you should help them to the end. You don't need to waste your energy to break this spirit formation. We'll help you remove it, but you must remember today's words. Don't let those devil cultivators leave here and cause harm everywhere. Chapter 23:40. After the four monarchs removed the spirit formation, they disappeared into the sky. Following their departure, the powerful oppressive might that enveloped the sky also disappeared. Only then did the crowd below exhale a sigh of relief and stand up one after another. Have the barrier and formation been removed? Are they really removed? Someone murmured, his face full of disbelief. I'll go up and take a look. A cultivator could not hold back the excitement in his heart. Ignoring his injuries, he immediately gathered his chi and flew up into the sky. At this moment, Fingzhou was looking at the surroundings of the floating land. Her line of sight, which was originally covered by white clouds, had begun to appear in front of her eyes. Beyond the blue sky and white clouds, she could see some forests and some towns below. As expected. She said softly, a smile appeared on her beautiful face. This place wasn't anywhere else. It was still in the upper reaches of the continent. However, this floating place was in the sky above the clouds. There were barriers and formations set up around it. The people below couldn't see this place and couldn't enter. The people inside couldn't get out and couldn't see the outside either. Ha 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 ha. It's really been removed. It's really been removed. When the demonic cultivators who rose into the sky saw the scene outside, they were all extremely excited and laughed out loud. However, they did not forget who had given them the chance to see the outside world again. They did not forget who had given them the chance to leave this place. As a result, the 2,000 demonic cultivators, regardless of whether they were in the air or in the forest below, all bowed respectfully and gratefully to Fengjiu. Thank you, Phoenix Master. Excited voices mixed with unconcealable joy came from the mouths of the demonic cultivators. Their gazes all landed on the dazzling red figure. Looking at her beautiful face, it was as if they wanted to remember her face forever in their hearts. Fengjiu glanced at them, and a voice that contained pressure slowly came out of her mouth. All right, since the barrier and formation have been removed, you can all leave as well. However, when you're outside, remember what I said. Yes. We'll take our leave. Everyone responded in unison. Some directly soared into the sky, some laughed loudly while riding on their swords, and some took out their magic tools and flew out. Not long after, those people all left, leaving only the people in Phoenix City. At this moment, Fengjiu set up a new spirit formation, isolating the entire floating area. What was different was that she had left a spirit formation entrance in the spirit formation. After the barrier was set up, she returned to the Phoenix City from midair. Looking at everyone, she slowly said, "Now that all the devil cultivators have left, I will set up a new barrier here. In the future, no one can enter without permission. And here, I need a few people to guard it. Who among you is willing to stay and guard it?" "Master, we are all willing to stay and guard." One by one, the Phoenix City cultivators said. "Yes, Master. As long as you give the order, we are willing to stay and guard." Seeing this, Fengjiu nodded and smiled. "How about this? You guys have been trapped here for many years, so it's a bit unreasonable to just let you guys stay here. Just take turns to guard this place." Chapter 23:41. Old Gu, who was at the side, heard this and said, "Master, how about this? Our Gu clan has already been destroyed outside. Now that the barrier here has been broken, if we need anything, we can go out and buy some things. So there's no need for others to take turns guarding this place. Just leave it to my Gu clan to guard." Hearing this, Fengjiu glanced at old Gu and nodded. "All right, then I'll leave this place to you. You can choose a place to settle down here." "Thank you, Master." Everyone from the Gu clan bowed respectfully and said. Fengjiu looked at everyone and said, "Today, the barrier has been broken. You can go wherever you want. As long as I have a use for you in the future, once the signal is sent, no matter where you are or what you're doing, you have to come to the place where I gather you." Hearing this, everyone was slightly startled. "Master, you want us to go back on our own?" Although they also wanted to go outside, they didn't expect that their master would let them do whatever they wanted. Moreover, he didn't restrict their movements. Is this strange? Fengjiu glanced at everyone and said, "Don't tell me I have to feed such a large group of people like you. You won't starve to death outside. You don't have to follow me all the time. I said that as long as I need you, you can just appear when I need you." Hearing this, everyone was stunned. After a long while, someone asked, "Master, if we want to find you, where should we go to find you?" After staying here for so long, they didn't know what to do if they suddenly went out. "You can find me in 100 River City's Heavenly Pill building," Fengjiu said and waved to everyone. "Everyone, disperse. Those who want to leave can leave now." Seeing this, everyone looked at each other but didn't move. Instead, they hesitated and asked, "Master, can we also stay here?" "Settle down here." The barrier here was also gone, so they could leave whenever they wanted. If they could settle down here, it would be better than going outside. Fengjiu looked at them strangely. You don't want to leave this place. Everyone grinned and said, Master, the restriction here has been lifted. If we need anything, we can go down to the town and walk around. So it doesn't matter if we leave or not. Besides, if we are all here, if Master wants to find us, we will be able to come at your call. Isn't that better? Hearing this, Fengjiu chuckled. All right, as you wish. However, it's fine if you want to stay here. However, I still plan to reorganize this place. You can start making arrangements when the time comes. I'll get old Gu to take care of the details. All right. Everyone immediately laughed excitedly. Someone said, Master, we haven't been to the town for a long time. Let's go down and take a look today. We'll buy some things to celebrate. Wait a moment. Fengjiu glanced at them and waved her hand. Several boxes appeared in front of her. There are some gold, silver, and jewels inside. Divide them among yourselves and keep some with you. You are my subordinates and also the guardians of this floating land. I still need you to contribute to the transformation here.